Hello everyone, my name is Nathan Ho. I'm the product owner and co-developer on the team Lab62T from class CI102 in Lab 62. My lab partners are Nathan T, he's the gameplay developer and quality assurance. We have Laura Nguyen, she's on art and composition design. Last but not least is Timmy, the market producer and co-developer. So I'll be passing this over to Laura Nguyen. She will be giving us the project pitch for our game, The Adventures of Taco Timmy.
In our modern day, video games are everywhere, and it is difficult to find one that can stand out in its own genre. TeamRogueLike has come up with an idea that can overcome this hurdle. Play as Timmy the Tiny Taco, who owns a successful taco stand with his taco grandfather. Mega corporations have become fearful of his business and decided to take Grandpa away. Now, Timmy is trying to get his grandfather back while also dethroning these evil corporations. Traverse through a restaurant and face off against different fast food giants to save the family business.
Hi, I'm Tommy Bunchonavong, and this is a demonstration of our product Taco Timmy. We'll start with the main menu. So on the main menu we have two buttons you can press, Options, and then Start Game, which sends us to the game scene. Now on the game scene, we have a little Taco Timmy on some very nice background sprite art. And if you look, you'll see that Timmy can move around in 8 directions, and he can also orient himself in 8 directions based on where I place my mouse. If I press my mouse button, Timmy will also shoot out some beams. If I come over to the right, you'll see 2 enemy characters. And these characters are based off of the enemy types that we want in the game. We have the ranged character, which keeps his distance. And then we also have the melee character that tries to get up in your face. And if I leave them alone, they'll go back to wandering around in the room. You'll also see that I took damage. And that is currently the state of our product.
So inside here, this is one of our test scenes that we did with some couple sprites and some tile sets. So I'll briefly go over the tile sets. Basically, you create like a palette and then you upload a bunch of small blocks. Here's the tile palette. As you can see inside here, these are several different items inside. We have another palette for like interior design. Here's one room theme, another room's theme, another theme over here. And we have some floors. And this is all thanks to Laura Nguyen giving us the artwork for this. I'm gonna click play and go to our game scene. As you can see, Timmy can walk. So how we did this movement is actually really easy. All we really have to do is just access the player's transform and utilize some rigid body components. Nathan T will talk a little bit more further on how the player points in a direction. We're constantly checking Taco Timmy's position and its location, so we utilize some floats to set the animation for whether it walks left or right. So now I'm going to talk about Taco Timmy's basic weapon, his pistol that shoots out pinto beans. So when I click the mouse left click, I can shoot out beans and they create a splatter effect when they get hit. So if you can visualize a right triangle on a graph and the top point of the hypotenuse, we'll take that in as like the mouse position. The angle it makes against the y-axis, that tangent angle, that's what we're going to use to apply to our gun. So as our mouse moves, the tangent angle will either increase or decrease, and that determines how the gun will spin and which direction it will spin in. Alright, so the next part is the shooting control. We're going to instantiate the bullet force, meaning how fast the bullet shoots out. So the gun points at the mouse, and the bullet will point with the gun, and the bullet will follow along that path. So that is going to be it for me. I'm going to pass this over to Nathan T. He's going to talk a little bit more about Taco Timmy's movement and his control, and also a little bit more about scene development.
So one of the first things we wanted to do in our game is switch between the actual game and the main menu. This is implemented through a simple script called Scene Loader, and what this does is it uses Unity's build settings and allows us to swap between scenes using their scene index. This is responsible for the behavior that lets us switch between the actual game and the menu. Another thing you'll notice is that Timmy is always facing the mouse. Our combat is going to be based on the cursor, and we wanted to give the user an indicator of this. So, this is implemented through the script player face mouse. And what this does is it calculates the angle between Timmy and the mouse cursor, and based on that, updates these variables in his animation controller. And based on what values these are, it changes his animations. Alright, and I'll pass it off to Laura.
I am going to demonstrate the health bar, health mechanics, as well as enemy attacks. As you can see, this burger enemy will fire bullets off in the direction of the player, and when they come into contact with him, he'll take a little bit of damage and the health bar will update to reflect this. So, these two scripts are responsible for keeping track of the player's current health as well as controlling when he takes damage. This script in particular makes sure that the health bar UI stays updated to reflect any changes in health. This script was the trickiest to write, and what it does is that it makes it so that when the enemy attacks, a bullet will be spawned at the enemy's position and be fired off in the direction of the player. This script is very simple, and all it does is make sure that when the bullet actually hits the player, it will be destroyed and not go past the player.
And now we'll get into how the AI works. So essentially the enemy AI works as a finite state machine, where there are two main states of chasing Timmy or getting waypoints. And as you can see, we have waypoints set up. And basically if Timmy's in range, the enemy will chase Timmy, and if not, he'll chase the waypoints. Now in each state, there's a script that also calls functions from the main script that allows the enemy AI to change its behavior. Now you can see on the bottom half, we have these functions, and all they basically do is get positional coordinates and then use transform and vector math to translate the enemy towards the target or have it orbit the target, and orbiting is in the case of the ranged enemy.
Now, with an immense project like this, with a big team with responsibilities dispersed everywhere, there's obviously going to be some major takeaways at the end of the day that we all have as an individual. My takeaways is that I need to realize that my work is also other people's work. I went into this team wanting to create something I was proud of, something that would be memorable and I would enjoy my time in. However, I realized that if I did not pick up my effort and put in the time, like my team members were doing, I was never going to achieve this fun. So as soon as I realized that, the project became way more fun, workflow was a lot better, and we created a project that I'm sure all of us were super proud of. Time management is also a crucial aspect in a team workflow. If you forget to push something or you fail to develop an item or element in time, that may cause a chain reaction of things being missing or certain scripts aren't working and cause your other team members to be behind on their work as well. So at the end of the day, I hope to utilize these takeaways and improve myself in our next project sprints.
While I struggled with the quirks of the Unity engine, the thing I learned most from is the importance of communication on a team. It was easy for me to get lost in my own work, only to realize later that what I made for the team wasn't useful at all. At the same time, it was easy to assume that everyone was on the same page, when this usually isn't the case, especially if clarification is not given. From this, I learned that I need to be more careful with how I convey my ideas to make sure that people will truly understand them. At the same time, I need to make sure that I truly understand my team members' ideas by asking them for questions or clarification.
The most valuable thing I learned from this project is what it is like to work in a software development team. This experience has allowed me to become more familiar with the practices and tools that are used by professional developers. Initially, it was difficult adjusting to the agile methods and using Git commands, but over the course of the project, these things became more natural to use. I will always remember getting that first merge conflict and the mild panic that followed. Overall, I feel that this experience has helped to prepare me for even bigger projects in the future.
My main takeaway from the project so far is that you can really beat your expectations if you put your mind to it. Going into the project, I didn't think I'd be able to develop much or do much for the team, but now at the end of our first 2 sprints, I've created enemy AI and I can manipulate it however I want. I've also realized that the best way to learn is to do things rather than just read about it or have someone tell you. And I've also come to appreciate art development a lot more, realizing it's just as hard, if not more difficult, than coding.
Seeing as Taco Timmy is still in its early stages, there are plans to further evolve the game. For instance, weapon upgrades and power-ups will be scattered throughout the levels for you to collect. Each floor will also be randomly generated. This will make each run a unique experience and add to the replayability of the game. Bosses will also spawn at certain intervals of floors. This will give a sense of progression as well as a challenge to the player. We hope that these add to the Taco Timmy experience.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you all for watching. Big thanks to my team members for putting up great work and effort, and I hope to see you all soon. We have so much in store for you with the Adventures of Taco Timmy.